and he taught us how to track things properly and taught us how to lay things in. But, you know, from day one, we were always a band that came to the studio already prepared with arrangements. Nothing really changed as far as the structures of the songs. We've always done most of our pre-pro before ever entering into the studio. So from that aspect of things, it didn't really change much. What did change was our intensity on one another. That because there wasn't another outside opinion, that we then, who were sometimes blessed and cursed to each have very different opinions about things. So we were able to be the set of fresh ears for each other and look at different pieces of music from a different perspective than the individual who is engrossed in it might have. So it was helpful to be to each be a check on each other, and for us to always be respectful and willing to receive criticism from one another, which we always have been.
Now, in the past, you've had some problems with your voices with your voice when it's come to recording or when it's come to touring. Is that still a recurring issue, or how does your voice hold up working on this stuff?
It's been great, man. You know, I mean, it's never been a problem in terms of recording. It's sometimes been a problem during touring, and you know, ever since that very last surgery that I had done to correct the deviated septum, yeah, things have been a lot easier. My reflux seems to be under control. I've been sticking with a pretty steady regimen that I keep in terms of maintaining the voice and exercises and continued training. And I mean, the whole last tour, the whole remainder of the Weapon run and everything else that happened last cycle was great. And the whole recording of this record, I felt stronger than I ever have. So I don't foresee there being any problems. I am still human, and you know, things still do happen, but you know, God willing, we'll be all good.
Mm-hmm. Is there any material left over from these sessions?
There are 3 tracks that have been left off, so we'll see what happens with those. We always like to keep some extra artillery in our pocket, so that in case something comes up, another opportunity when we're on the road and we don't have the time to go into a studio and come up with something or track something, that's where we're ready to go. And we always make sure that they're pretty significant songs, so that they'll do what needs to be done when they're called for.
One question, just to play the devil's advocate for a moment. Surely you've had a lot of strain and a lot of turmoil over the past 3 years, and anybody in that situation would feel, you know, stressed and agonized by that. On the other hand, do you ever feel concerned that, well, if I really express the discontent I've had and the heartache that I've been through, you know, what's the garage mechanic who's making $40,000 a year, you know, how's he going to relate to this, and is anyone going to view me without the sympathy that maybe I deserve? Since, I mean, of course, you are a successful musician and you've done quite well. Some people might think it's hard to, you know, that poor me, the rock star kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the stereotypical cliche. Oh, how can you have any angst or anger or negative emotion anymore now that you're successful? and the irony of that is that the more successful you become, sometimes the greater your stress is, and the more people are looking to shoot you down, and the more of a challenge things become. You know, like I said, the normalcy of trying to have any kind of a real relationship is something that was very, very evasive for quite some time until just recently, thank God. And so, you know, that's definitely a factor of my success, and it's definitely a factor of what I've chosen to be and who I've chosen to be. And you have to live with those decisions, you know, and they're sometimes difficult to live with. You know, I'm not saying that I regret necessarily anything, but, you know, there's trade-offs, there's sacrifices that are made. And I'm not trying to say, oh, look, poor me. I'm just saying that, you know, even with the success that we've had, that no matter what you do, it's not about pain is not necessarily deterred by success. You know, sadness or depression is not always deterred by my money or success, even though people sometimes think that it should be. In fact, usually it makes things worse. So I don't think that there'll ever be any lack of subject matter for us.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing for your fans. For a while, you took advantage of the opportunity that being in a successful band presents itself. The women and the indulgences, etc. Is there a point where that just becomes emptying, or was that a perk of the industry that was as great as things get?
Look, don't get me wrong. I definitely had my fun in my day, but it does get empty. It gets empty faster than you might imagine. You start getting older, you start getting to a certain place in your mind and your heart, and you've played around enough, and you want different things. You want real love and a family and a future, and my mind's been in that headspace now for some time, and I've been able to find a wonderful, beautiful girl who I love very much, and we're finally living together, and things seem to be really nice, and I'm knocking on any available piece of wood I can find because nobody's going to mess it up. But it's definitely it's challenging. It continues to be challenging.
Mm-hmm. And being in a touring band and having the kind of schedule that you do, of course, just adds another element of difficulty to it, I imagine. And this is something we've talked about before, about the inability to find that special person who can relate to where you're coming from and what you're doing and hold together. And how did you finally go about? Did you look for a different kind of person this time? Was there something that made things click?
It just happened. Believe it or not, it just happened. She was actually at a photo shoot. She was a model at a photo shoot at my house. And we met, and she hated what she had learned of L.A. I hated what I had learned of L.A. We both wanted out of there. We both connected right away. And it developed over the course of the past year, and she moved in December, so it's been actually really wonderful. I consider myself very fortunate, and that was one of the main reasons I wanted to get out of Los Angeles, so that this wouldn't kill what I had just found, because LA tends to have has a tendency to do that to relationships, so I definitely wanted to get the fuck out.
Sure. Where are you living now?
Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you went back home.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Going back to the memories of the past. How ugly did things get with this deception and the soured relationships where you think you've found what you've been searching for, and then bam, something hits you like a brick to the skull?
Time and time again, unfortunately. One situation was a girl I was seeing across the country, and things were getting pretty serious with us, and the whole time she had been dating a guy at home. Another case where, a girl who was waiting months and months to see me. When I finally came off tour, I come back home. I had to wait 4 or 5 days to actually see her once I'm already at home. And when I finally do get to see her, she only would meet up with me in some club where she was all over 2 other guys the minute I got there. I mean, a whole bunch of, and then, claiming that I had done A, B, C, and D when I hadn't. Just time and time again, trust being betrayed, being made to feel like a fool, being, abused verbally, being abused emotionally. And unfortunately, that's a lot of the environment that I was in out there. It just wasn't healthy, and I was very, very happy to finally make it out of there in one piece, and with my sanity and my heart intact.
Mm-hmm. And are you going to go on tour with or is your girlfriend going to come with you on the road now?
That's the plan, yeah.
That's
the plan.
It's funny because absence makes the heart grow fonder in some cases.
No, I've had enough absence in my life. It's time to have a partner. It's time to have somebody there to share it all with.